Welcome back to Sean Crush Channel. Currently, it's 7:48 a.m. on the 4th of June. We just did a one-part Breeaction for Heirs of Humanity and their newest song, Counting the Coups, off of their upcoming album Testimony, which we will most likely be hosting them on the Anatomy podcast to promote, as well, of course, as to tell their own stories once they return from an album-themed tour. I think either sometime in July. I think that's the plan. But we've been meaning to have Abhorrent Abomination return to the Sean Crush channel. So we return them to the channel with their newest single, The Eradicator, that released 5 days ago. They got an upcoming EP called Incarnate of Hate. This is slamming deathcore based in Florida/Pennsylvania. Abhorrent Abomination, Skuta, Ticked Off, those are definitely down-tuned productions, associated projects. So I'm excited to be getting them on the channel, because we did check out their single that released a long time ago. It featured Duncan Bentley. We checked that out, but for whatever reason the audio was not working whatsoever, so we couldn't upload it, and then there were frustrations tossed back and forth, which I completely understand. But now, almost like half a year later, we're a little bit more cooled off. We're on the same ground, and we understand what's going on. But if you would be so kind, provide any feedback you think might be necessary for the productivity and the growth of this channel. Check out my regularly updating playlist on Spotify, whether Ignite the Church, Paths of the Rising Sun, the Chapters playlist, or the Anatomy Podcast's Greatest Hits. Check out my other 2 YouTube channels, one for the Anatomy Podcast, which all of the Anatomy Podcast associated uploads, except for the intros that other vocalists do, will be over on that channel, in which, of course, we got to have little teaser trailers here on the channel every now and then. That way you guys know to go over there. But, of course, also check us out on Spotify, on Google Podcast, Amazon Podcast, literally anywhere you find your podcast, even iHeartRadio. Like, come on, dude. We're jumping in. We're jumping in. And the current goal is to get at least 100 people to listen to the podcast within a month. So do what you can. Do what you will. Do what thou will. And also check out the Blind Without a Failures YouTube channel, of course, because that's my own band, bro. That's my own blackened ambient slam band. I am currently getting the blueprints ready to start track 2, and we will be looking into doing a music video for Error here pretty soon, as well as a re-recording of Error with 2 new vocalists for a future endeavor. But let's go ahead and dive in, and thank you for your time thus far. I smile at the dead. We need a little bit of mood lighting, but let's go. Bring it, baby. Always keep to the mid. fucking disgusting. Alright, real quick, we are going to go ahead and see if we can check out the older single that we listened to before, but it's been like half a year since we listened to that last, so let's do it. Alright. remember that. Okay. All right, so obviously that was Abhorrent Abomination. That was 2 tracks off of their upcoming EP, The Incarnate of Hate. And I don't know whether or not he's planning to have Divine Hatred featuring Duncan Bentley on the EP with the recent allegations. Because as far as I'm concerned, we've had our issues in the scene before with vocalists, with allegations and stuff, but this time it's a little bit different. You know what I mean? This is like physical abuse. This is very significant issues happening within the band that they've been trying to tame for years and years. So, long story short, fuck you, Duncan. Like, if everything is true, absolutely, like, you can't just beat one of your members within an inch of their life. But that is all that I will say, because really, it's not my business. I'm not a member of Vulvodynia. Love the band. I participate as much as I can with the project, with their discography, with their merch contributions, their merch sales. But I'm just a member. Or I'm not a member. I am not a member. Disclaimer. So, Abhorrent Abomination, though, this is like one of the, I think, poster boys for Downturn Productions, if not Nithful. And I think they're doing really well. I cannot wait to host this band on the Anatomy Crosscast. Not the podcast, the Anatomy Crosscast now. That way it's easier for you guys to find on Spotify. Or you can probably just type in Crosscast and see if that ends up happening. In that case, let's check this out real quick. So I was right. Turns out if you go onto Spotify and just type in Crosscast, like, boom, the Anatomy Crosscast will be the first thing that you end up seeing. So that's actually pretty badass. And I think that's a lot more efficient than, I'll show you guys this. This is like the ultimate struggle of looking up my podcast. This is the first thing that comes up, is an actual like podcast about anatomy and stuff. So I'm glad we switched that over. And be sure to go follow us on Spotify. Follow us on all of everywhere you find your podcast, man. That'd be really cool. And if we can get more people listening to the podcast on a monthly basis, then I can finally start climbing the ladder and aiming to monetize off of the podcast, if nothing else, because it is time consuming, and depending on the band that we end up interviewing, depending on the part of the world that they are in, sometimes we have to plan for like a day difference or a 7-hour difference. And with me working 10 hours a day, currently around the entire week and the weekend, it does take up what little time I have left in the day, but nonetheless, I'm not complaining because I love doing the podcast. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed Abhorrent Abomination, what is going to be a double Breeaction here on the Sean Cross channel. And just like the great Eternal Music Machine people, let's keep cranking!